I'm just one person. I'm, just trying to do my best with the career that I have. I'm an athlete that's doing her best to compete.
That I'm just one person. I'm, just trying to do my best with the career that I have. I'm an athlete that's doing her best to compete and doing her best. 40 million shocker. Rolex CEO just crowned tennis newest queen. Oh my god. You are absolutely not ready for what we are about to drop on you today. Welcome back to Court Vision Plus, the only place on the internet where the tennis world's biggest, boldest, and most jaw-dropping stories get the full treatment they deserve. I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now. Put down your coffee. Tell your dog to wait because what we are about to break down today is not just a tennis story. This is not just a sports story. This is a cultural earthquake, a luxury market revolution, and the most stunning coronation in the history of a brand that has been crowning legends for over a century. We are talking about a deal so massive, so unexpected, and so perfectly timed that industry insiders are still pinching themselves trying to figure out if it is real. The undisputed king of luxury timepieces, the Swiss crown itself, Rolex has just made the most audacious, most electrifying, and most historically significant business decision in its entire 100-year existence. They have signed a $40 million contract with a global ambassador. And before you start scrolling through the usual suspects in your head, let me stop you right there. It is not Novak Djokovic. It is not Carlos Alcaraz. It is not Jannik Sinner. And it is not Anna Sabalenka. The face that Rolex CEO Jean-Frédéric Duer personally chose to represent the most iconic watch brand on the planet is a 20-year-old girl from the Philippines, who has been quietly, relentlessly, and magnificently taking the entire tennis world by storm. Ladies and gentlemen, Court Vision Plus faithful, the Rolex crown has officially been placed on the head of Alexandria Alex, and the world will never be the same again. TFT Mubala Abu Dhabi Open, and we are here with none other than our Filipina tennis star, Alexa. Hello, Alex. This is the second time you're playing here, and let that sink in for just one moment. $40 million. That is not a typo. That is not clickbait. That is the cold, hard, stunning reality of what just went down in the pristine boardrooms of Geneva, Switzerland. And it represents a seismic shift in how the luxury world views women's sports, Asian athletes, and the explosive power of what can only be described as Elamania. We are going to break every single layer of this story wide open for you today. From the unprecedented nature of the deal itself to the breathtaking custom timepiece being crafted in her honor, to why this single business decision is being called the most perfect and bold move in modern luxury branding. This is Court Vision Plus, and today we are going all the way in. Let us start with some critical context because to truly understand why this announcement has sent absolute shock waves from Geneva to Manila to Tokyo to New York, you need to understand just how extraordinarily different Rolex operates compared to every other brand on earth. Rolex is not Nike. Rolex is not Adidas. They do not throw endorsement deals around like confetti at a parade. This is a company that moves with the pace and precision of their finest movements. Slow, deliberate, and utterly perfect in execution. The roster of what the brand calls testimonies reads like a Hall of Fame carved in marble for eternity. Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, Tiger Woods. These are names that defined entire eras of their sports. These are athletes who had already rewritten the record books before Rolex ever called their agents. The brand has historically waited for legends to be fully formed before attaching their crown to anyone. So when Jean-Frédéric Dufour, the chief executive of the most prestigious watch company on the planet, personally championed and approved a $40 million deal for a 20-year-old who has yet to win a Grand Slam title, you have to understand that this is not just a business transaction. This is a declaration. This is Rolex standing at the top of a mountain and screaming at the entire world that they believe Alex Ella is not going to be a great player. She already is one, and she is about to become the greatest. When a brand that once moved at a glacial pace suddenly sprints, you had better pay attention to what made them run. Now, let us talk about the catalyst, because this deal did not happen in a vacuum. The match that lit the fuse on this powder cake was playing out in real time right before our eyes over the past several weeks. And if you have been watching Court Vision Plus, you saw it coming. The Middle East swing this February has been a masterclass in exactly what Alex Ella is capable of when she is fully locked in, fully healthy, and playing the brand of tennis that has coaches, commentators, and now apparently Swiss luxury executives reaching for superlatives. In Dubai, she walked onto the court and absolutely dismantled Jasmine Paolini, who was not just a good player, but a Grand Slam finalist and one of the most accomplished competitors on the WTA Tour right now. That was not an upset. That was a statement. But it was what came next that truly broke the internet, and apparently broke open the Rolex vault at the same time. Alex Ella versus Coco Gauff. World number 4, reigning US Open champion. One of the most decorated young players in the modern era of tennis. And Alex Ella, ranked outside the top 60 at the time, took her to the absolute limit in a match that had everyone who was watching completely forgetting to breathe. Point after point, game after game, this 20-year-old from the Philippines refused to blink, refused to back down, and played some of the most courageous, technically brilliant tennis you will ever see from a player at this stage of their career. She did not win the match, but in many ways, she won something far more important. She won the global conversation. She won the hearts of millions of new fans who had never heard of her before. And she clearly won the attention of the most important boardroom in the watch industry. But here is the part that even the most dedicated tennis analytics channels are not fully capturing. And it is the part that makes the Rolex deal make complete and total sense when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture. It was not just the quality of Alex's tennis that had executives scrambling for their checkbooks. It was the crowd. Close your eyes and imagine this with me. You are in the stands at a WTA tournament in Abu Dhabi or Dubai, which are historically not considered hotbeds of passionate tennis fandom. The match is about to begin. And then Alex Ella walks out. The noise that erupts from the Filipino community sections of those stadiums is not polite applause. It is not the gentle enthusiasm of a corporate tennis crowd. It is the kind of primal chest-thumping, flag-waving, signaling roar that you associate with a World Cup final or a heavyweight championship bout. Even Coco Gauff herself had to acknowledge it after their match, joking about the sheer passionate intensity of the Ella faithful, who had traveled in some cases thousands of miles just to see their girl play. And that right there is the business case in its purest, most undeniable form. Rolex did not just sign an athlete, they signed a movement, they signed a nation. Listen to that noise. Another wonderful win for Alexandria from the Philippines. Put your hands together for Alexandria. They signed the ferociously loyal hearts of tens of millions of Filipinos around the world. And through their gateway, they signed access to the single fastest growing luxury consumer market on the entire planet, Southeast Asia. The numbers are staggering. The Philippine diaspora alone spans over 12 million people across every continent on Earth. Add to that the broader Southeast Asian middle and upper class, which is expanding at a rate that has luxury brands practically falling over themselves to gain cultural relevance in the region. And what you have is not just an endorsement deal. You have a billion-dollar strategy disguised as a tennis contract. Industry analysts who specialize in luxury branding have been commenting all over financial and sports media about the pure genius of this move. One analogy that keeps coming up is the Lena effect. When Rolex signed Lena, the Chinese tennis legend and Grand Slam champion, and made her one of their ambassadors, what followed was a seismic expansion of interest in both professional tennis and luxury timepieces across the entirety of mainland China, Hong Kong, and the broader Chinese diaspora. the numbers that Leah moved in terms of brand awareness and sales for Rolex, and for tennis as a whole were extraordinary. Now, industry insiders are saying that Alex Ella represents not the next Lena, but something potentially even larger because she brings with her not just the Philippines, but a Pan-Asian cultural moment that cuts across borders in a way that no single athlete has managed in recent memory. Where Lena was the queen of one market, Ella has the potential to be the queen of an entire region. Now, we have to talk about the piece of this story that has every watch collector, every fashion enthusiast, and every proud Filipino absolutely losing their minds with excitement, and that is the custom timepiece. Because this deal is not just about Alex Ella smiling for cameras while wearing a Submariner or a date gist. Rolex has gone to extraordinary, unprecedented lengths to make this partnership feel deeply personal, deeply meaningful, and deeply rooted in the story of where Alex came from and what she represents. The brand's master craftsmen and design team are currently working on a bespoke limited edition timepiece specifically for Alex's collection launch. And at the heart of its design are laser engraved details of the samp, the national flower of the Philippines. If you do not know why the detail hits so differently, let me give you the backstory that makes it even more powerful. Last year at Wimbledon, the most prestigious tennis tournament on earth on the most hallowed grass courts in the sport's history, Alex Ella walked out onto center court wearing a hair tie that featured the sambita flower. A small, quiet, deeply personal gesture of pride, a reminder to herself and to the world watching that no matter how far she had traveled from Manila to the Rafa Nadal Academy in Spain and all the way to the lawns of the All England Club, she knew exactly who she was and where she came from. It was the kind of moment that makes you emotional even thinking about it now. Rolex's design team clearly did their homework. They saw that moment. They understood its significance, and rather than simply putting Alex's face on existing product lines, they are immortalizing her story, her heritage, and that specific cultural touchstone directly into the DNA of a world-class luxury timepiece. The Sagita engraving on a Rolex dial is not just a design choice. It is a statement that says the journey from the grassroots courts of the Philippines to the pinnacle of global sport and global luxury is a story worth enshrining forever. It is the kind of creative, culturally intelligent collaboration that makes this deal transcend the usual transactional nature of sports sponsorships and enter the territory of genuine artistic partnership. The watch is expected to be part of an Oyster Perpetual Special Collection, which is Rolex's signature line and the one that has historically been associated with their most iconic and foundational design philosophy. The choice of that specific line is significant because it speaks to permanence, to endurance, and to a timelessness that mirrors exactly how Rolex views Alex's potential legacy in the sport. The Oyster Perpetual does not chase trends. It is built to last generations, and that is precisely how Rolex is positioning Alex Ella in the global consciousness. Let us take a step back now and look at the broader tennis landscape, because context is everything when you are trying to understand why this deal is being called a turning point not just for one brand or one athlete, but for the entire sport. Women's tennis is in a fascinating, complicated, and enormously exciting moment of transition. For 2 decades, the WTA Tour was defined and dominated by the Williams sisters, Serena and Venus, whose influence on the sport, on culture, on business, and on the concept of athletic greatness itself cannot be overstated. The world organized itself around them. Endorsement deals followed their movements. Television ratings tracked their schedules. They were more than athletes. They were institutions. Now we are in the era after those. They break you down mentally and physically until the only thing left inside of your soul is a pure, obsessive, almost psychotic desire to win every single point, as if your actual life depends on it. When I was out there on Stadium 1 suffocating Coco Gauff, forcing those catastrophic double faults, and standing like an absolute titanium brick wall on the baseline, she wasn't just playing her own game. She was actively channeling the exact same ruthless, never-say-die gladiatorial mentality that Rafael Nadal used to completely break the souls of his rivals for over 2 decades. She was hitting heavy, punishing topspin music. She was refusing to give an inch of ground. She was looking Coco Gauff directly in the eyes and telling her without speaking a single word, "You are going to have to literally kill me to win this match. And I can see in your terrified eyes that you do not have the heart to do it." Music, and the most chilling part of the entire Indian Wells execution was exactly how Alex Ella handled the aftermath. While Coco Gauff was scrambling to explain away her panic attack as music a firework in her arm, Ella gave an absolute masterclass in psychological dominance disguised music as pure class. On International Women's Day, Ella grabbed the microphone and delivered a post-match speech that will go down in history. She looked out at the massive American crowd. She smiled her beautiful, completely unbothered smile, and she graciously thanked Coco Gauff for her leadership and class on and off the court. Music, do you understand the absolute bone-chilling brilliance of that specific moment? She completely dismantled the face of American tennis, forced her to quit in a panic, and then graciously thanked her for being a role model. It is the ultimate undisputed power move. It shows the entire locker room that Ella Music is completely unaffected by the drama. It proves that she is totally grounded, absolutely graceful, and terrifyingly focused on the bigger picture. Music, she isn't just trying to win matches. She is trying to win the absolute hearts of the global public. And she is succeeding flawlessly. The veterans in the locker room are seething with a jealousy so thick, so heavy, that you could literally cut it with a chainsaw. Why? Music, because you absolutely cannot buy that kind of authentic composure. And you cannot buy the endorsement of Rafael Nadal. You can win a Grand Slam. You can sign a massive multi-million-dollar television deal. You can get Music a custom apparel line from Nike or Adidas. But you cannot under any circumstances for any amount Music of money buy the authentic, undeniable public respect and praise of the King of Clay. The established players have spent the last 10 years Music grinding their bones to dust on this tour. They have smiled for the cameras. They have done the grueling fake press junkets. They have begged on their hands and knees for the approval of the tennis legends. And Nadal barely even acknowledges their existence. He stays in his lane. He minds his own business, but Alex Ella destroys the American golden child, forces a humiliating forfeit, and the legacy of Nadal stands firmly behind her, acting as an invisible, bulletproof shield. Music, it creates a total catastrophic, irreversible hierarchy collapse within the WTA. The veterans feel entirely disrespected. Music, they feel like the industry is violently bypassing them. They feel like the spotlight, the primetime night matches, the massive global sponsorships, and the television ratings are being violently ripped out of their hands and handed to Elon on a silver platter. All because she carries the untouchable Nadal Academy seal of approval. Music, but let's be completely honest with ourselves here, because we do not deal in fake news on this channel. It is not just jealousy radiating from the veteran locker room. It is pure, unadulterated, primal, paralyzing fear because Nadal's backing is a direct, undeniable warning shot to the rest of the WTA Tour. Music, it essentially says to the entire locker room, "She is with me. She trains with my blood, my sweat, and my tears. She plays like me. She thinks like me. And she is coming for absolutely all of you. Every single one of your trophies belongs to her." Now, imagine being a top 10 player in the world right now, sitting in the players' cafeteria. You just watched the horrifying tape of Ella mentally breaking Coco Gauff into a million tiny irreparable pieces. Music, you saw the ice-cold composure. You saw the heavy punishing ground strokes. Music, you saw the absolute terrifying refusal to back down from a dog fight. And now you know with absolute terrifying certainty that when Ella goes back to the locker room or when she calls her team after a match, She isn't just seeking advice from some random overpriced tour music coach who tells her what she wants to hear. She considers the ultimate mental giant of the sport, the man who possesses the greatest psychological dominance in tennis history, to be her personal mentor, her idol, and her ultimate blueprint. She has the ultimate cheat code to tennis psychology programmed directly into her brain by the master himself. How do you possibly prepare for an opponent who is backed by the king? How do you scheme against a player who has the entire philosophy of Rafael Nadal flowing through her veins? You don't. You can't. You just sit in your hotel room, look at the tournament draw, see her name next to yours, and you absolutely panic. You start thinking about faking an injury just like Coco Gauff did, just to avoid the public humiliation of being systematically dismantled on international television. The player union circles, the music sports agencies, and the massive management companies are quietly panicking as well. The executive boardrooms in New York and London are in a music state of absolute unprecedented chaos. They know better than anyone else that Alex Ila is about to become an unstoppable global commercial juggernaut. In the world of high-stakes sports marketing, when the Nadal legacy is invoked, the billionaires listen. The luxury music brands, the massive tournament directors, the global television executives, they are all going to pivot immediately, aggressively, and shamelessly towards Yala because she now has the ultimate stamp of legendary approval. The veterans are absolutely terrified that they are about to become completely irrelevant overnight. They are terrified that they are going to be relegated to playing their matches on court 18 at 10 o'clock in the morning in front of emptied bleachers and a few sleeping pigeons, while Alexa is playing primetime music night sessions on Arthur Ashe Stadium, Center Court at Wimbledon, and Philippe Chatrier in Paris. And let's talk about the fan base, because this is where the American media completely and utterly miscalculated. They thought they could protect Coco Gauff because she had the loud American crowd behind her. But Alexa is not just backed by the Nadal aura. She is backed by the entire country of the Philippines. We are talking about a massive, rabid, music incredibly loyal, fiercely patriotic sports fan base of over 115 million people combine music with the entire global, terrifyingly massive Rafa nation. It is an army of supporters that no other player on the WTA Tour can even comprehend, let alone compete against in the stadium or on social media. The veterans know that from a media standpoint, they have already completely lost the music war. If they play Allah, the crowd will be against them. The internet will be against them. The commentators will be forced to talk about her. The narrative will be entirely focused on the unstoppable 20-year-old prodigy. And what about the revenge factor? Let's talk about the dark, petty side of the professional tour. The players who are close to Coco Gauff, the established music cliques, the mean girls of the WTA Tour who have controlled the locker room dynamics for years. They are allegedly in their private encrypted group chats right now, plotting how to humble Ella. They want to send a message back. They are talking about how they want to physically bully her on the court. They want to hit the ball straight at her body at the net to intimidate her. They want to give her cold, dismissive, disrespectful handshakes when the match is over. They want to use their media press conferences to throw subtle shade, downplaying music her massive success, calling her overhyped.